to comment on the decision to go with a bench trial virtually last minute, or you can respond to the judge's comments about the lack of credibility of the complaining witness. Which would you like?
I like the fact that he went with the bench trial.
Okay, tell me why that was important and how that obviously played out in his favor.
Well, how it played out in his favor, I'll start with. You have a judge now who is making findings on the record for the whole world to see as to why he is not guilty. When you do a jury trial, unfortunately, you don't always have the benefit of debriefing all the jurors and hear in the media why they had reasonable doubt. You just get a verdict and they, skedaddle, they get out of court. But here he made very specific exculpatory findings, and it could help restore Mario's reputation. Maybe he can get more gigs on the Food Network. Maybe he can draw more business at the restaurant. So it really did exonerate him. So in this instance, I think it really paid off. The judge probably rewarded him for waiving jury and said, look, I can be fair. I will assess credibility. And in most jurisdictions, the court gives not only the jury, but itself, if it's sitting as a sole trier of fact, an instruction that says you can convict solely on the testimony of one witness. So if it boils down to credibility, that's what you got here. And there were very serious issues with credibility. I think the biggest problem this complaining witness had was that when she lied in her jury questionnaire from prior jury service about ever being the victim in a sex case.
Yeah, and now that you've stolen Gabriel's answer because he was going to get the second version of the question, that's all right. And I also think that going with the judge, you take a lot of the emotion out of it that the jury might glom onto, despite whatever the facts may be. So, Gabriel, with whatever's left of those questions, how important was it that the judge itemized some very serious credibility problems?
I think too, thinking of it as a civil matter, you got to expect the sexual harassment or the sexual battery lawsuits coming if it hasn't came already. So that's going to also help him in that case. You're not going to get a jury to find him liable in a sexual harassment case or a sexual assault lawsuit with those types of findings on the record too. So that was really strategic and smart by his defense attorney to do that, because if that case came on my desk to sue him for sexual assault or whatever that may be, I'm going to say, nope, I've seen the court record. It's all over the media. I'm not going to take that case. So I think it was very smart to do that. And I also think, this guy, he had some real confidence in this case to put it in front of a judge. I would love a jury, and especially I don't like bench trials at all. I like having a jury and the jury being the voice of the community for my cases. But he must have really felt confident to put that in the front of the judge's hands. And if it was a word versus word type of a case, I think it was a very good decision to have them do that. And they must have did some really good research on this judge to make sure that to keep in one person's decision on whether he's guilty or not. That was very confident.
Obviously,
and it worked out for him.
In the Monday morning quarterbacking we do, brilliant. It worked out great. I think one of the worst problems with her case was the complaining witness. It was all captured on video and selfies that were being retaken. It just kind of shoots a hole in any sort of assault type argument. Anyway, Mario Batali not guilty. And we'll come back. We've got more for you on Long Crime. Stay right where you are. And welcome back to the afternoon session. We've been live in Georgia for the case against Ryan Duke in the death of Tara Grinstead. He's been charged with her murder, also her disappearance, ultimately helping dispose of the body. But they're done for the day. They ran out of witnesses. You know how that works. You look out in the hallway, nobody's here. We're wrapped early for the day. And so they have done that. They'll be back at it tomorrow for day number 3. Now, Ryan Duke is saying he's not guilty. And that whole confession thing, just ignore that. That was a false confession. He was a little loopy on drugs or meds. His legal team, which is a husband-wife combo of Ashley and John Merchant, they've taken this case pro bono. They think the guy's innocent, and they're willing to do their thing for free because they believe so strongly in his innocence. They say, again, that confession no good. He was on drugs, but he did help cover up the death. of Tara Grinstead. That's the position. Now, Bo Dukes, as you know, unrelated, but in 2019, he was convicted of concealing Grinstead's death. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. So now you got this through the looking glass thing going on here, where Ryan Duke is now saying he's really the one guilty of what Bo Dukes, not related, has already been convicted of. It's a little issue the jury's going to have to deal with here, because it can get a little confusing. We're still getting a lot of the DNA forensic type evidence presented. We also heard from a very important witness here, Heath Dykes, whose name we heard today in relation to him being excluded from the DNA found on that glove. Well, he's a police officer. He had been dating Grinstead, and he took the stand yesterday, spoke to her on the phone on that Saturday night when she disappeared, and it was one of the last people to speak with her. Here's Heath Dykes from the stand.
When you spoke with Tara, do you recall what time of day or night it was?
It was late because I had fallen asleep in the chair watching, I think it was the Alabama LSU game, I think it was, and I fell asleep. And we've been watching college football all day, and so I'm going to say 10 and 11-ish.
And when you spoke with Tara, was that on her cell phone or her home phone? Do you recall?
I want to say her cell phone, but I'm not 100%.
Do you recall when you spoke with Tara if at any point she indicated that she was not yet home that evening?
The understanding I got from her that night was that she was at home, and she said she was cold. It was cool.
Okay.
And she was at home.
What did that mean to you when she said she was cold or she was cool? Did you know what she meant by that?
She just said it was cool out and she was cold.
So the phone call takes place, but from where did she make that phone call? That's a real question. Well, Dr. Troy Davis, former school superintendent, also took the stand to kind of help us understand that maybe she wasn't home.
Now, jumping forward to the weekend that Tara went missing, did you have an occasion to see Tara the weekend of October 22nd, 23rd, into the 24th?
Whatever the Saturday was,
And where were you when you saw her on Saturday?
at my home.
Who else was there?
At the time that Tara came, Gloria and Stan Mix, Larry and Dina Harper, my children, Missy. I don't recall if anyone else was there at that time.
And what was going on at your house that all those people were there?
Well, it was a University of Georgia football game that afternoon, so we watched Georgia football, and we had a cookout or dinner, and she stopped by.
Do you recall about what time it would have been when Tara got to your house?
It's going to be later because she had been working with a beauty pageant, and so I don't recall what time, but it was dark.
It was dark. And do you recall about how long Tara stayed at your residence?
Not more than a couple of hours, maybe. I don't know a specific time.
Do you know if she left before or after the game finished?
Well, that game had already stopped, and we were watching another football game, actually.
What did you overhear Ms. Grinstead say on telephone?
What did I hear her say on the telephone? She had a conversation with someone, and at the end she ended the conversation, "I love you."
Thank you, Judge. That's all I have.
Okay, so does it really, I mean, come on, does it really matter that she might have been a little less than truthful with the boyfriend about where she was when she was on the phone there? Philip DeBay is here. He's a public defender out of L.A. Gabriel Sepulveda Sanchez also here. So, guys, what do you think about this? Philip, let me start with you. Is this just kind of a nothing burger? Is there something worthwhile here?
I think it's a very inconsequential fact, frankly. Sometimes prosecutors are terrified of what the defense might try to raise for purposes of reasonable doubt, and they want to attack every little kernel that is raised by the defense as a peremptory type strike, if you will, to avoid the effect that it could have on the jury. And I think in the end, the jury is not going to give it much weight. It's pretty petty.
And it seems to me, Gabriel, that from all we've seen and heard, and this goes back to the 2019 case as well, Tara Grinstead was a good one. You know, she doesn't seem to have a lot of baggage. She was the beauty queen and a high school teacher. So I guess you can only go so far in trying to dirty her up by suggesting, oh my gosh, there's something nefarious here because she said she was in one place when she made the call and she wasn't. Dun dun dun. I mean, this can backfire if you go too far, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the DA is doing a good job. What I've learned with trials is that you always want to get even if they're little small bad facts, get them out there, because the defense attorney or whoever it is in the case you're dealing with, they're going to amplify any of those little facts and really hammer down on them. Anything they can hang their hat on, they will. So you want to take the power out of it on direct examination, or better yet, even in voir dire. This is an issue that I would have voir dired and talked about with the jury in the beginning. And so you kind of prime them there that anyone have a problem with this situation, doesn't think the victim's any less credible, and then they hear it a second time on direct examination. So you take the power away from it. The worst thing you can do is ignore it and let the defense attorney jump on it, or not have the jury hear it beforehand. So anytime I have a bad fact, or even if it's small, I like to bring it up in jury selection and direct examination.
So if you think that was kind of a nothing, okay, maybe she misled somebody about where she was when she made a call. How about when the prosecutor alluded to Tara having an affair with someone while dating Heath Dykes? Now, is that an affair if you're just dating somebody, or is that just fooling around on them? Is that cheating? It's beyond my scope. But let's find out what Heath Dykes had to say.
Did she ever admit to you that she had a sexual relationship with Anthony Vickers?
She did not.
In fact, did she specifically deny having a sexual relationship with him?
She did.
Did Ms. Grinstead ever talk to you about Rhett Roberts?
Yes.
And when she spoke with you about Rhett Roberts, did she ever indicate to you whether or not they dated?
I think she did say that they had gone out before.
Do you recall Ms. Grinstead talked to you about her concern for Rhett Roberts and how she wanted to help him?
She did.
Would it be fair to say that Ms. Grinstead wanted you to have very specific ideas about things going on in her life?
Yes.
Other than what Ms. Grinstead told you, however, did you have any personal knowledge of any of those things?
No.
The evening that on Saturday, when you spoke with her and you said that she was initially down or upset, I apologize, I don't recall your words. Do you recall why it was that she was upset?
I don't know, other than, I was thinking maybe because I was with my friends doing stuff, and then she was down in Ocilla with her friends doing stuff.
Okay.
I mean, that's only my guess. She didn't come out and say that that's what the case was, but she seemed, just distraught.
So let me ask you this, and again, I apologize, I know this is probably a touchy subject, but was Ms. Grinstead jealous when you would spend time with your wife and your family and not her?
No.
In order to make her feel better, what did you do? After you spoke with her on the phone and she was down, in order to make her feel better, what did you do?
I called her back and just was cutting up with her.
Did that seem to make her feel better?
It did.
Did Ms. Grinstead like attention?
She did.
Do you have any knowledge as to whether or not Ms. Grinstead was actually fearful in her home, or perhaps she just wanted you to believe that?
The only thing she had ever mentioned to me about Marcus had come over uninvited several times, would just stop in and just come over, and that she didn't like it when he did that because unannounced, and
Did she ever tell you that she had actually gone to Marcus's house and beat on his window until he came to the door to talk to her?
No, she never mentioned that to me.
Did she ever tell you that just a few weeks before she went missing that she completely broke down on the side of the road because she found out Marcus was dating someone else?
No.
Did she ever tell you that she broke down and was so distraught that Marcus's stepmother and father had to actually come get her and take her away from, or take her back to her residence?
No, I didn't know any of that.
So I go back to would it be fair to say that she wanted you to believe that she needed protecting from Marcus?
That'd probably be fair to say.
What about, would it be fair to say that she wanted you to believe that she needed protecting from Anthony Vickers?
Yes.
If you learned that in fact she had a sexual relationship with Anthony Vickers, would that have changed your opinion as to the situation?
Mine and her situation? Most definitely.
Well, her alleged fear of Anthony Vickers on that evening. If you knew that she was actively in a sexual relationship with him, would that have made you see the situation differently?
Yes.
Kind of an uncomfortable series of questions there for the guy on the stand, Heath Dykes, because he did have a relationship with Tara Grinstead, and now he's being quizzed about all these other guys that might have also had some contact with her relationship or otherwise during their relationship. Things you probably either did know already and don't want to talk about, or didn't know, even worse, and now it's being kind of flashed in front of your face. Hey, Philip DeBay, what do you think about, we're salting this case now with all these other potential issues. Anthony Vickers, this Marcus dude, people that she might have been afraid of. I understand prosecution wants to get out in front of it, but how do you think it's going?
To be quite frank, it'll depend on the strength and the impact that the confession has when it comes into evidence. We haven't really heard the full effect of it yet. But keep in mind, Tara was only barely 30 when she came up missing, or when she was declared dead. So she was still sowing her oats, meeting people, dating, enjoying her youth, enjoying life. And she might not have been completely candid with everybody she was dating, and was not necessarily committed to one person, but maybe one or two of the men she was seeing felt that she was, serious and committed to just that individual, and it turns out she wasn't. But that doesn't mean that the people that she wasn't honest with would then have a motive to want to kill her. If memory serves me, the evidence that's going to come in is that, Ryan broke in looking for drug money and killed her when she happened to be there, and then everything flowed from there, including the confession.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the confession's key, and funny you should mention that, because I believe that tomorrow that's going to be the key focus of the testimony. Hey, Gabriel, I know you're loving the DNA. You want to see some more DNA. We do know that Anthony Vickers was excluded from any findings on the glove. Doesn't mean he wasn't involved somehow, but it certainly doesn't help if you want to say he's the other dude did it.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't help at all, especially with the lack of evidence they have right now as far as DNA evidence. But, I think with going back to the witnesses and the questioning that's going on, I don't think it's really consequential at all. I think these are issues, people's sexual and romantic relationships tend to be private in general. I bet you half the jury on there is probably might be in an affair right now, or has had some sort of experience being on the opposite of that. So I don't know, these are just things that human beings are pretty much have some experience with, or know someone that's had some experience with. So I don't think those are very, I don't think that's going anywhere. But like I said, you got to put it out there so just in case the defense really tries to attack that and make everyone look bad.
Yeah, maybe if it were the 30s or 40s or 50s, this, you're not mutually exclusive and you're seeing other people would have been shocking. Maybe not so much in 2022 or in 2005.